Hello, hi, greetings, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Shlee Benessi. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing the history of part 2 of my release and recovery as a part of my truth and reconciliation story in relation to the work that I'm doing and the reason why I am even here. So I just wanted to also note and make a disclaimer that I hold the utmost love and respect towards the individuals that were a part of this truth and my reconciliation towards sharing the truth of my personal experiences that I endured. And I'm sharing some information and going to make you think twice and reconsider what you may have heard or may not have heard. So with that being said, I thank you for tuning into this video, and I trust that one day the truth will be revealed in time and people will consider different versions of the story because truth is usually a misunderstood thing. So with that being said, thank you again. And I hope you consider this video and the information I'm about to share with you. Thank you. So from beginning to end, I'm going to share some information with you about my experience with a very recent trauma that I've had to come to resolve and understand. And it's taken me this long to share the truth about what happened and what people didn't see is because trauma doesn't decide to let you go. It's something you have to figure out before you can fully let it go. And this is a part of me letting go of all of that shit. So people, shut the excuse my French. Okay, so I met this man who called himself Basil, and his name was Michael Bridgeford. And he's probably watching all these videos just hating the shit out of me because he knows he's a piece of shit. And he doesn't deserve to be called named Michael because Michaels don't fucking get investigated and get away with, calling women down and watching borderline child pornography films and objectifying women most of his life and, gang banging a drunk woman. I've heard some really disturbing stories about this man in relation to a lot of things that were completely out of alignment with my life and all the fucked up traumas that I've had to endure as a woman and being somebody who's of indigenous ancestry and somebody who was put through this child welfare systems brought on by the residential schools. And you get the picture, you get the gist of it. So I'm just going to get right into it and just spill it all out and lay it all out on the line because I'm sick of this shit and people need to know what happened with me. Okay, so I met this man when I was about 9 years old. Traumatized little kid. I don't know any better. And I had a sit down with him, and I was an artist as a young child. I was always very creative, and I had a moment that I remember clearly, like it was yesterday, where this man was like, we sat down. He was kind of drawing in this book, showing me um, like things on paper, and he drew like a stick figure of like this man figure thing or whatever. And I noticed when he was drawing, like he extended the tailbone of the stick figure between the legs, almost as if to create like a phallus type of dangling between the legs of his stick man or whatever. And me being a traumatized little kid, didn't know any better, I kind of giggled because I knew what that was because I had had adverse life experiences in my early childhood, which made me hyper aware of exactly what was going on. And he kind of scribbled it out, I remember. And then I remember that was in one of my art books I had, like when I was a kid years ago. Um, and I didn't really think anything of it back then. But when I moved to the place in Canada, where my family is originally from, which where he happened to be, because of the foster family that I was with at the time, was connected to this individual. And as you all know, for people that have gone through CFS, and their families had some type of, adverse experiences, you need to be really hyper aware of predators that are like your next door neighbors. You just never know. So basically, the gist of my stories is like the family that was attempting to take care of me um, a lot throughout my life happened to have a friend very close, um, that was, quote unquote, let's say he was the uncle, um, but he wasn't an uncle. He was just a predator in disguise. And so when I moved back here, I remember driving around in the car with my foster dad at the time when I considered him a foster father. You know, um, basically, I was like, "Oh, did he get investigated? Like, what happened with that?" Because there was just like initial understanding of who this man was, what he did, and whatever. And it's like, "Oh, why did he get investigated? Is he a pedophile?" He's like, "No, I don't know what happened." And I guess we briefly had a conversation about it, and I remember, you know, um, thinking nothing of it back then, but like a year later, or however old I was at the time when I had moved here and kind of like initially got in contact and connected with this individual, um, started spending time with this man who calls himself Basil, which is very egomaniac, narcissistic term. The meaning of this person's name is very like just it's not even worth it, and they don't deserve the name title at all. So yeah, like I spent time with this man when I was like 19 years old. He basically like messaged me online, was like, "Oh, I understand," and me being young and naive, not knowing any better, and being vulnerable because I was a ward of CFS. So naturally, I just would like be drawn to experiences that were really negative and bad for me. Um, and I remember the first time that I initially spent time with him when I was younger as a young adult. I went over to his house, and at the time I remember he had like this mask behind him that he had made, supposedly an art piece. Um, and I'll show you this mask. It's yeah. So, and not able to understand a lot of abstract concepts back then. I didn't think anything of it, and I was just like, whatever. And yeah. So, and I remember I'd spent time with him, and he was actually visiting a student that he used to teach at the school that he used to teach at, that he got blacklisted from because he was investigated for apparently being very inappropriate towards women. Ironically enough, I'd spent enough time with this individual trying to understand, get to know them, um, and they admitted to me that the reason why that they're back here on this planet in this time and place is to understand women. So, and if you want to understand women, you don't treat them badly. You're supposed to respect them, not prey on them, and not be jealous of them. So, and yeah, so I guess I'd met like a student that had taught, and he was trying to get in her pants and have relations with her. And she won't talk to me anymore. And when I kind of came in the picture and got between whatever was going on between them, I guess things just naturally occurred, but without realizing it, when you're young and vulnerable and don't really understand how you're being manipulated in various ways, you just do things because you think it's good, but it's actually not. But I actually found out that she had told me in messages that basically he was trying to show her drugs, and he got her drunk a couple times, and he was making out with her and touching her breasts. And that is a predatory tactic. As a professional, a teacher, after you know, if you're a teacher, you shouldn't be trying to date your students, and you shouldn't be inviting them over to your home after they're old enough to fuck you and be a part of your world. That is not a respectable or admirable trait to have. Yeah. So I guess when that was all happening, I was kind of oblivious to it because I was, vulnerable because I was a ward of CFS, and I just, anything that looked like love or whatever, it was easy to manipulate me back then because of the trauma that I had endured. And yeah, I remember he was, when I would sit down and talk to him, I noticed like we would look online on things, and he would, the way he talked about women around me was very abusive. Like he objectified them, and it's ironic because this man makes sculptures of mother figures and um, just like objectification figures of women, where it's just like the breasts and the belly and you know, there's no mind. It symbolically represents what he says claims to be is ancient uh, artworks, but it's not, because somebody who does that doesn't talk the way that he did about women. So, and I guess there was a woman that he'd previously dated before me that um, I remember he pulled out like all these papers, these letters of this woman, and me being young and naive and just, falling for um, false lore and everything. He's like, look at this psycho, look at this crazy. And it was like all this angry, mean, upset words and letters from this poor woman. And he said, oh, she was a criminologist. She was trying to investigate me. And I can see why he attracted that to himself, looking back at it now. Um, because after spending time with him, I learned very quickly that he does not like women, um, and he uses women to hide the fact of a deeper truth within himself, which is that he actually doesn't like women, he likes children. So, because he can't have children, he abuses women to cover up his fucked upness, to cover up his demonic energy and forces that he doesn't understand about himself. So, with that being said, sorry, just a little bit worked up because it's taken me so long to actually come out and finally talk about this because, as I filmed in previous videos, my understandings around psychology, trauma, and how it all plays and works together is not a simple feat. You can't just be like, oh, I can deal with this because, you can't fight your enemies when you're angry and hurting. You can't, that's not how it works. I really believe that people need to start being questioned. And yeah, so I just think it's very ironic and it's kind of coincidental that Gord McIntosh funded a website that reports online predators while unbeknownst to everybody else who doesn't know me or understand my experiences with said individual that I had to endure, yeah, I witnessed some things when I was in a very vulnerable state and was preyed upon by somebody who was associated with political people that claim to be out for the best interest, security, and safety of vulnerable people who have created and manipulated codes, laws, rules, and regulations around what they have insinuated and assumed to be the right way to do things, which is not right. And I guess I'm making this video and addressing all of this right now is because I'm genuinely concerned about their methods and tactics that they've been using for as long as they have. So, if these people think they have power, they're going to sadly be mistaken very soon. He said, I hope you consider the truth about what I'm telling you and the information that I'm sharing with you in this video. And from my recollection and from my experiences, Michael Bridgeford Reed, associated with a politician by the name of Sharon Blady, who I also believe has been vulnerable to abuses from this individual. So I express my sympathies and empathies to this woman and it's rude that people have not been considering things that I've been telling them for years. And if these people want to frame me, kill me, come here. I don't care. I know that what I'm doing and speaking the truth is the right thing to do right now.